All right, and welcome back to the Lightning Step Couch. We are here at Global Exchange 2023 in fabulous Walt Disney. Sitting to my left here is Mike Lifshotz, the founder and CEO of Hatch Compliance, and they are headquartered out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Mike, thanks for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you on the couch.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what Hatch does?
Absolutely. I'm one of the founders of Hatch Compliance. Hatch is the first compliance automation tool that's used to save staff and employees time as it relates to compliance documentation. You know, so often compliance is a big burden and it keeps people from taking care of clients or it creates staff turnover issues. And we've solved that by giving better guidance, explaining the workflows, and then having a system that's built out specific to meet your state or your accrediting body requirements.
Awesome. What's the benefit of using somebody like Hatch Compliance aside from doing it in-house or using somebody on staff?
Well, if you're not using Hatch Compliance, then what you're doing for your compliance and your operational data is going to be a mix of many different solutions: paper, spreadsheets, calendars, multiple softwares. So what happens is it becomes a nightmare for your staff to train them. And if you want to aggregate your data and actually make it useful, it's really either a very manual process
Yeah.
or impossible.
Absolutely. And compliance is paramount to what we do in behavioral health. And if you have holes or gaps within that, your organization can get in trouble or you can lose your facility altogether, correct?
Yeah, but it's more than that. See, the problem with the way people look at compliance for the most part is compliance is a box to be checked, right? It's how do we keep our license? It's how do we keep our accreditation? Compliance should be looked at as a tool to improve quality of your outcomes, quality of your program, as well as reduce your risk. So compliance covers your staff training. It covers a safe environment of care. It covers anything that involves your risk, like reducing incidents and reducing people leaving early. So it's much bigger than just keeping your license. It's actually something that could be saving or generating revenue too.
Awesome. I love the insights into that. What analytics capabilities allow the comparison of treatment approaches to determine effectiveness?
Can you rephrase that a little bit?
Yeah. So, what's how do analytics play a part in the effectiveness of treatment?
Well, analytics is all about the data that you're entering, right? If you put garbage data in, you're going to get garbage data out, right? The analytics are very important, but at the same time, you got to kind of start at the beginning, which is what are you putting in?
Absolutely.
How often are you putting it in? And then how often are you evaluating the data that you're putting in? If you have processes and procedures along the way to enter good data and to evaluate the data, it can be very important and very valuable.
Absolutely.
It really starts at the admissions process or pre-admissions all the way through your discharge, post-discharge, and time after. And there's a lot of data that you can be looking at along the way to evaluate the efficacy of your program.
Okay. How does Hatch work alongside or with other technology being utilized by behavioral health centers?
I think when you're comparing your charting and you want to audit your charts effectively, keep in mind that besides the fact that every state has different requirements for what needs to be in a chart, you also need to be auditing your charts to make sure that clients have treatment programs that are treatment protocols and treatment plans that actually meet what their needs are. And you also need to be looking at a lot of other data around social determinants of health and how certain therapists work with certain clients. So I guess kind of going back to your question, you need to one be able to share information back and forth. It doesn't have to be integrated. And I think that's also really important. Like we have an integration with Lightning Step that does some things, but I hear people say it to me all the time about integration and tech partners. And I want people to think when they're thinking about integration, what do I want this integration to do? Do I want it to, how do I want it to work? Because just asking for an integration doesn't necessarily provide the value. What we found is compliance doesn't necessarily have to integrate with an EMR
Okay.
to be valuable. They work side by side. Now, what we're doing with you guys and what we're going to be building out is tools to be able to collect and speak back and forth to save time.
Absolutely.
But that's the main thing. So it doesn't necessarily have to link. But like some of the things that we do with our integration will save people a bit of time.
Okay. Awesome. How do folks find you?
Well, on LinkedIn, Mike Lifshotz or Hatch Compliance. We have a YouTube channel
Okay.
that gives a lot of information on best practices, some guidance, some things that people can be doing.
Okay.
Hatchcompliance.com
There you
is
go.
always good.
There you go.
We also have a podcast, and we talk on the podcast about different pitfalls that people have run into or they've seen and kind of ways that they have solved them. It's called Hatching Creativity.
Okay.
We put out usually a couple episodes a week, and it's just a great place to get good information. You know, in this industry, not a lot of people share information on best practices, and we want to be one of the pioneers of, hey, let's share it. Let's raise the tide so everybody benefits, and let's take behavioral health from this like redheaded stepchild of behavioral health, and let's improve it.
Absolutely.
So
I appreciate all that information. Is there anything that I've missed? Is there anything that we haven't touched upon that you find very important that you want to get that message out?
I think that the most important message as it relates to where I work, which is regulatory compliance, is compliance should not be an effort of checking the boxes. If all you're doing is checking the box to show that you've done this documentation, you're missing the point completely of compliance. You're not protecting yourself, you're not protecting your clients, and you're missing out on a huge opportunity to gather data that can improve your quality of care and improve your business efficiency. So the biggest message I would say is don't just check the box. Work on your data, analyze your data, and collect information that will help you to provide better service and better outcomes. The other thing is stop customizing everything.
There you go. There you go.
Every organization, every clinical director, every ops director thinks that they know better than everybody else that's done this before them. And what ends up happening is there is no way for a provider to be able to benchmark and compare against other providers. There's no way for the payers to be able to do that. And what ends up happening is we stay in this behind the times kind of situation. There needs to definitely be more standards.
Absolutely.
With your documentation as well as with the regulations. And when we lobby for the states the same way.
Absolutely. As I walk around here at GXC, we see all of these special technologies, these special, niche companies that are offering services like yours in multitudes of areas. And like you said, let those professionals do what they know how to do. And we need to embrace that as an industry as a whole to not have to customize it ourselves or to think that we need to do it. There's tools out there. There are people out there that are designed to do this, that have mission driven to provide these services like Hatch Compliance, and we need to take advantage of that more often.
It's kind of funny, you mentioned that. I can't tell you how many times I listened to a phone call with our chief compliance officer and co-founder Renee, and she'll be on the phone with a consultant or maybe a compliance officer from an organization who will want to make a bunch of changes to the system, and they'll say, I've been through 14 joint commission surveys. I know all of these things and it needs to be this. And Renee will just look at him and go, that's cute.
Yeah.
Come to me after you've been to 300.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about your experience and how that is going to improve it.
Absolutely.
Rely on the experts. We are the experts.
Yeah.
We're the industry leaders
Yeah.
because of it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It can
Exactly.
be much easier than people make it out to be. And they try to make it so much more complicated. But at the same time, it's important to know that compliance is not simple. Compliance is not easy.
No.
And compliance is complicated. So don't try to simplify it.
Mhm.
Hire an expert or a solution that is built by experts so that you know that it's being done right.
Yes.
That is a very big message to get out.
It's too fundamental to the business to not do that.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Mike, this has been a privilege to sit down with you. You've given us a ton of information to think about, a ton to walk away from here. What is your biggest goal here at GXC? What are you trying to accomplish other than getting your name out? What are you here for?
I'm here for the food. I'm here for the food.
And Epcot, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
No, I would say the biggest thing is connecting with people. This is a special industry.
It sure is.
People in this field are amazing. I love just to come around and connect with people and walk around and just talk to people. And really, I think the business world as well as life is all about connections and relationships. That's why I come here.
Yep.
I'm here to build relationships. I'm here to talk to people I already have relationships with and see where, what kind of ideas can be had.
Well, it's been great to connect with you. Again, we have Mike Lifshotz here, the founder and CEO of Hatch Compliance, based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Check out their podcast. Check them out online. They can do some great things for your organization. Mike, again, thank you for joining us on the couch.
Appreciate it.
Thanks
so much.
Yeah.